Hengshui and peeled potatoes. I went to Hengshui for junior high school, and the school I got into was Hengshui No. 6 Middle School, one of the best junior high schools in Hengshui. At the first class meeting, our young female homeroom teacher propped her hands on the podium, looked around, and said, "Since you've all come here through the examination, your goal must be to get into Hangzhou, so for the next 3 years, you can't slack off." I was puzzled. Why did we have to get into Hangzhou? Why not attend high school in Hebei? It took about a month, and as I got to know my classmates, I realized it wasn't Hangzhou, it was Hengshui. I wasn't very satisfied with No. 6 Middle School. The breakfast porridge had the smell of bleach, and it contained fine steel wires that came from scrubbing pots and pans. Cabbage stems were the most abundant in the vegetables, and potatoes still had their skin on them. There was barely any meat in the dishes, just bones. There was a rumor that the meal fees we paid were being embezzled by the cafeteria staff for their private use, and this wasn't entirely unfounded. At least during my second year of junior high, the air after evening self-study was filled with the greasy smell of fried green beans, as if lard were being rendered. My best friend in junior high was Xiaoning, a beautiful girl with long hair. We were desk mates, and we both consistently ranked among the top students without much effort. We often secretly skipped evening self-study to wash our hair at the rooftop water tap or read novels under our desks. Xiaoning's favorites were Gu Jingming and Haruki Murakami. What these two had in common was that they offered a kind of fantasy. Reading made both of us feel deprived. Life probably shouldn't be like this, at least the potatoes should be peeled. We exchanged our dreams. Xiaoning's dream was to become a pastry chef, designing delicious and intricate cakes. My dream was to open a cafe combined with a bookstore, closing it for 2 months a year to travel. But, considering we had both read Gu Jingming and Haruki Murakami, we placed our dreams in Tokyo or Shanghai. Tokyo and Shanghai were too far away, and Hengshui was closer. Among us, the students who achieved slightly better academic results mostly openly aspired to Hengshui, signing their names on red banners hanging on the wall. "I am XX. I want to attend Hengshui." Perhaps those with poorer results also had this desire, but they just didn't talk about it. Hengshui also had an air of fantasy. During junior high, there were 2 kinds of descriptions of Hengshui from teachers. One was a one-sided definition of Hengshui: Hengshui is paradise. The other was a comparative definition: Hengshui is a prison, and Hengshui Second Middle School is hell. If you don't study well, you can only go to Hengshui City 13th or 14th Middle School. Hengshui is paradise had no fixed specifics. Some teachers said the food was good, with even the most ordinary steamed buns, 8 cents each, being extremely delicious. The cafeteria at Hengshui even published a book. This was true. Cautiously, I asked after class, "Do they peel the potatoes at Hengshui cafeteria?" The answer was a firm yes. Some teachers said it had excellent facilities, with individual air conditioning and private bathrooms, as well as a well-stocked library. The most consistent statement was, "Once you get to Hengshui, you don't have to think about anything other than studying." The label Hengshui is paradise was subjective and fluid. However, the description of Hengshui No. 2 as hell was remarkably consistent, slapping students, including girls, in the hallway, pulling their hair, pulling down the curtains, and kicking disobedient students from the front door to the back door. As for No. 13 and No. 14, there was nothing much to say. Cheerful high schools with abysmal college enrollment rates. What good can come from attending a day school? Teachers would occasionally digress in class, describing how intense life was at Hengshui, and Xiaoning and I would sit there holding our breath, listening in fear. For example, dormitory members took turns to buy lunch, and someone was sent to the cafeteria during meal times to buy enough food for 12 people. Each person got a steamed bun and a pack of pickled vegetables, all packed in an oversized plastic bag, then rushed back to the classroom to save a few minutes for studying. Of course, our teacher added, the pickled vegetables in the Hengshui cafeteria are also very delicious. After that class, I felt a bit down, thinking I wouldn't have the chance to eat peeled potatoes stewed with beef in the cafeteria. This thought lasted only a second, and I immediately scolded myself silently. Studying is, of course, the top priority. In the summer of 2014, Xiaoning and I both took the high school entrance examination. She got into Hengshui number 2, and I got into Hengshui. In the 3 years that followed, we lost touch almost completely. So, I didn't know about her 2 failed suicide attempts or that she eventually dropped out of number 2 and went to number 14. Therefore, I never had the chance to tell her that the rumor about taking turns buying steamed buns and pickled vegetables was completely false. But the cafeteria's potatoes were indeed peeled, and there really was potato and beef stew.